And we have another special guest joining us this morning, Kachi Benson, a passionate storyteller whose first documentary was accepted into the BFM Film Festival in 2009. That was, way back.
Yeah, about 10 years ago now. He's also behind In Bakassi, which told the story of life in one of the largest IDP camps in northern Nigeria.
Yeah, and in this month of July, he and his team birthed Daughters of Chibok, and it made history as the only VR documentary made by an African. Wow.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely amazing. And he's joining us this morning after winning that award in Venice.
Congratulations.
So he's fresh. This is a week later.
Yeah.
About a week, yeah. Exactly
so the halo is still on you. You're still feeling that glue.
Yeah. I think we have footage of you receiving that award, if you can take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, but that moment, and we're going to talk about the documentary in a few minutes, but just that moment that we're watching on the screen right now, when your name was called, or the name of the documentary, and you walking through, see how large that hall is. Probably like 3,000 to 5,000 people in that hall.
Yeah,
you going up that stage and just...
Look at that.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised?
No, so
what did you say, Zeb? Like, did you have a speech?
Yeah. I did. I did.
On the big screen. Wow.
It was, it was a very surreal experience for me. What had happened was that, so the rule is that they don't tell you who's going to win until a day before.
Okay.
So the only people that were in the hall were winning directors.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That many number of people?
Yeah, I mean, the rest are just like, maybe invited guests.
Okay.
But if you made a film for the festival, then you can only be there if you won.
Wow.
So they'll tell you the day before. So obviously then you have to like a non-disclosure, you can't say anything.
Of course.
But because I was already planning to leave.
Oh, you were planning to leave? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was a big deal that we went to Venice in the first place. That was the only African VR documentary in Venice. So I was fine with that. I was happy.
We need to break down what VR is. There are a lot of people that don't understand why this documentary is different from any standard documentary they see on National Geographic, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, virtual reality, that's VR. Is this sort of like emerging technology that we're using to create content. And basically what it does is, instead of having like detached viewing where you're watching something on the screen, it takes you to the place. It literally transports you there. So when you wear the headset, like this, for instance, so when you wear the headset, you can look around you in 360, as if you're there.
And you'd see everything.
Everything. So it sort of like increases your connection to the story, all right? And it's being used a lot for like empathy filmmaking, where if I told you, oh, some kids are starving in northern Nigeria, and I show you a picture, but if you wear the headset, it's like you're there with the kids. It increases the empathy level, and it's a very, very strong tool for communication. It's being used for all sorts, education, in health sector, for training, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Now, for many years, I mean, you've been doing documentaries on the front lines, in different locations, but when we had a discussion a few weeks ago, there was something different about going to Chibok, which you had to do more than once. So talk to us about that journey for you.
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to go to Chibok. If you remember when the story broke, there were a lot of different versions to the story, and it was sort of hard to separate fact from fiction. And so from a storytelling perspective, I was always curious. I wanted to go to Chibok and find out for myself, is this true? But then Chibok is in the northeast, it's high risk, all kinds of, so we had to sort of, okay, when would be the right time? And the opportunity presented itself this year, January this year. And, we went. We were making another film altogether. But I just went along with my VR camera. And when we got to Chibok, and I spoke to the people, spoke to the women themselves, the mothers of these kids that had been kidnapped, I knew immediately that I had to tell the story. It was a no-brainer. The only question was, okay, so what format would I use? Now, because Chibok is so far away, and there are still so many people who don't believe that, this place actually exists or this thing happened, I chose VR. So for me, it was a way of taking people to Chibok and say, okay, this is the Chibok that you said is fake. This is it. These are the people. After watching, decide for yourself.
Right.
Okay. So you mentioned having a VR camera. Now, there's going to film school, learning directing, learning producing on a normal level, on a normal 2D level.
Yes.
But it's one thing to shoot with a normal camera, it's another thing to shoot with a VR camera.
Yes.
So what's the difference?
I mean, it's like 2 worlds apart. Because I had to go and relearn again. A VR camera is like a camera, so the type I have has like 6 cameras that shoots simultaneously.
Right, so it's shooting different
different things. So one is shooting up, one is shooting here, like that. And then you now bring it into your computer and you stitch it.
Wow.
Now, because there are cameras all around, as a director, you cannot be a present director. Otherwise, you will be in the shot. So you have to set up the shot and then go and look for somewhere to hide, and then let the events, you know, unfold in front of the camera.
Because even behind you, there are cameras as well.
Yeah.
If you're watching it from, okay.
So the rule of thumb is like what my teacher told me. He said, look, if you can see the camera, then the camera can see you. So you have to be in a place where you can see the camera. All right, and so that's how it is. And then you bring it into post-production, you stitch it into one image. Then you have to remove the tripod from the shot in Photoshop.
Wow.
Then you now have to bring it into Premiere and then start to tell your story.
Oh boy!
So it's just
it's a different thing entirely.
So start to finish, how many months did it take?
For Daughters of Chibok?
Yes.
We filmed the first week, 1 week. We came back to Lagos. I saw some of the footage. I didn't like it. I felt I needed to do some more. So I told my guys we have to go back.
Wow. Okay.
They weren't really happy about it. Yeah, but we had to go back because I mean I knew I wasn't going to be satisfied with it. So we went back, shot for another 1 week, came back to Lagos. But because it was so emotional, I left the story for like a month.
Oh wow.
And then I came back after a month. So I edited it in like maybe 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about the response. There's the Nigerian response. This is our story in Nigeria. So we've been on this since 2014, probably. Yes. But the international response as well. So you put this out on VR. People saw it in Venice and even internationally as well. Yeah. What was the response like?
I think I'll summarize it in one sentence that a member of the jury told me. And she said, because I was telling her, oh, thank you so much for accepting my film. And she said, no, Joel, thank you for reminding us about this. Because indeed, we had moved on. The world had forgotten. But thank you for reminding us. And I think that's been the response so far. Because everybody that saw the film, I had people from Taiwan, from Brazil, from everywhere, right? They kept saying, we know this story. We've heard about this story. We were part of this story 5 years ago, and indeed we had forgotten. We never knew that the story is still as fresh.
There's a clip of it there.
Now that's a virtual reality documentary that we're watching right now. This is Chibok. This is the town of is it a village?
That's the school where the girls were kidnapped from.
This particular.
That's the government. The government.
That's
girls'
the
secondary
signpost
school.
there.
Wow, wow.
That's the house where she lives.
Wow.
One of her daughters plaiting her hair. So we're trying to play around with the girl disappearing, as if the girl is no longer there. You know, that's her on the farm.
And then the girl disappears.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, because the girl used to go with her to the farm as well. Rufkatu.
Oh, wow.
Her daughter.
Wow.
And then that's her under the tree.
And
the world has moved on, but she's still there. She can't move on. She doesn't know how to move on. So, yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Cool stuff, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Congratulations,
really, Joel.
Yeah, looking forward to your next project.